Okay, first of all, it is hot in here, and I don't know how well the lighting is. I'm in my garage, and it's, you know, it's middle of the, or late in the afternoon in July 24th, and I'm in my garage, and it's, you know, like 102 degrees out here in Dallas. First thing I want to do is I really have a place where I want to mount this thing, right here on the transom. I'm going to mount mine direct, and the reason I'm doing this video, I've looked for a lot of videos on doing this, and I can't find one showing people mounting one unless they're mounting it on a jack plate, or they have one of those mounts that goes behind the motor. But I'm going to try to mount one. Talon says it's recommended to mount right on the transom, and I don't see any reason why on this Bass Tracker 175 I can't mount it right here. Now I'm going to pick this thing up. The mount is already kind of affixed to the Talon, and I'm going to pick this thing up and try to put it in the position I want. Talon says to make sure there's 3 inches from the motor, you know, clearance to that. I looked at it once, and it looks like there's going to be more like an inch, but I'm going to deal with that. I have it turned all the way to the left, and I'm going to check it out, see how it works. Six 60-year-old fat guy, them guys. It's kind of tough for me to maneuver this thing around the way I want to. I gotta tell you, it's actually touching right there, and I'm not sure what I want to do about that. Okay, I gotta tell you my plan, and hopefully this works. I've been picking this thing up, and I've been holding it up here where I want it to be, and at first I thought it was going to come real close, and I thought, no, it's going to touch. And I've been checking all around. There's not really a better way for me to mount it unless I were to go to a Bass Pro or something and get one of those adapters that mounts under the motor. That I'd have to pay for that, and you know, I might have to do that, but I don't think I will. I got to realizing with the mount, I was checking it, and the mount was at an angle like this, which had the Talon back like this, and I got to realize that once the Talon sat up like this, you know, level like it was supposed to be, then I won't be having that problem. So we're going to give it a shot. Okay, by the way, on this Protein 175 Bass Tracker, this is 2014 model. You can see how it's kind of double holed right there where I wanted to mount this. And 3.5-inch bolts that come along with the Talon are plenty long. I just have that temporarily put in there right now. I drilled that one hole, and I'm going to, you know, just kind of put it like that where I can line up the other hole right, and we'll go from there. Okay, I know the light's still not great here, and I did this filming last night, or at least started to. And I wished before I started this I had seen a little advice and some tips from somebody else who did it, because I really got into some things. I know this is fairly simple to do, got into some things I didn't really expect. First of all, you know, the Talon came in the box, already had the bracket, you know, mounted to it. And so I picked the Talon up, and I moved the thing over here close. First thing I did is I turned the motor all the way to the left so I can see the clearance. I picked the Talon up, and I'm putting it up against where I want it, and the Talon is touching the motor. So first thing, I'm walking around trying to figure out if I can find another practical place to mount it. Didn't really want to go down to Bass Pro and buy one of those high-dollar mounts and then have Bass Pro pull the engine and all that. So I really kind of thought that I could do it myself. After all, even Minn Kota recommends that it's mounted directly to the hull, to the transom. So I got to looking a little closer, and I picked the Talon back up, and I put it back here, and I realized that because the transom's leaning like this, the Talon was way back here too, because it was kind of 90 degree to the mount. So I realized that once I mounted it, I was going to move the top of the Talon forward to make it a little bit more vertical to the horizon. And so once I realized that was going to happen, and I made that adjustment, well, I had plenty of room between the motor and the Talon, so that took that problem out. Next thing I had was having to drill the holes, and there's a place I'll show you in a minute right up here to where it looked like it was going to be a lot of real easy access. And so I start drilling in the holes, and it's difficult to drill. It's really difficult to mark, and I wish that Minn Kota would have made a template, a paper template to where you can mark your holes. It would have worked a lot better. It's difficult trying to get a pencil or anything to mark your spots. So anyhow, I got the holes drilled, and they was really close enough, and I'll show you in a minute to where these bottom holes were really a little too low, and it worked, but it just barely worked. I couldn't even get a washer in there. I had enough room to put it in there and thread the nut on, but not the washer. So if you're going to be doing this as a 2014 tractor, if you're going to be doing the same thing, I'm down here about this ridge, about a ½ inch below the flush with the top of the transom. I would go ahead and move it up that other ½ inch. And there's 4 holes on each side. I use the top hole and the number 3 hole. And if you move the mount up, then you can use the number 2 hole and the number 3 hole, and everything will work, I believe, a lot better if you do it that way. It's very easy to wire. The way this is real easy to put the cables through there, and the cable already had the little eyelets on it to put on the battery. The last thing, there's a little splash guard that goes under here you need to put on, and why, I don't know. It looks to me like they're using like wood screws to put in there. There's 2 screws, and with a regular screwdriver, I mean, it just really tough. And I found out just put a little WD-40 on it, it made it a lot easier. But went fishing with it today, my first time, and just absolutely love it. Worth every dime. These are the 10-footers. Cleared my garage very easily. But it made it very easy, so you can go out and sit without having to fight the trolling motor. You move around and you can fish an area more thoroughly. And by golly, if I didn't catch any fish, well, it sure would have made not catching fish a lot more enjoyable, instead of having to go out there and fight the trolling motor, because this tracker boat is not like the big heavy Ranger or Nitro or something. If you have a 6 mile an hour wind, this boat's being pushed at 5 miles an hour. So if you have a tracker aluminum boat like this, I would definitely recommend it. And I'll show you a little bit more. I'll bring the camera up here and show you a little bit more of what I was talking about. Now I mounted this thing, probably an inch or so below the top of the transom. If I had to do it again, I would bring it right on up to here. You can see I used the first hole and the 3rd hole. And if you want to bring it on up here, it'd be very easy to use the 2nd hole and the 3rd hole. But you wouldn't want to use the 4th hole in this, and I'm going to show you why. And also, if you'll take a look, I took a magic marker, wanted to mark my holes, and you can't do it because this is the way it's done. So you need a real short pencil or something to try to mark your holes good. And you see this is kind of a double walled here, and there's plenty of room. These are the bolts that Minn Kota supplied, and the way I had it, these came all the way down here, these bottom screws, and that's just about to the bottom. I can turn these nuts, but I couldn't get a washer in there. Guess I need to move that before I lose it. The cable went in here very easily. It was. I didn't think I was going to be able to get in at first, but there's the 30 amp fuse. Take the little cap off and take the fuse out, and then slide it in there. It'll go in pretty easy. And like I say, when I first got the thing and I was checking to see if it was going to work, I put the motor all the way to the left, and it was going to be touching. And the reason for that is the mount was already on the anchor, and so it was all the way back like this through these holes. So it was way back like this, and this thing right here on the other side is what touched. But once I changed this angle to where it was vertical, then I didn't have that problem anymore. It sure does wonders for the fishability of a tracker, I promise.